Welcome to Verso podcast, a podcast for teens by teens. Today we are joined here with Brogan, and we are again going to talk about obscure sayings. So Brogan, can you tell us about the saying telling us today?
Yep, we got 4 saints for you guys today and a group of saints. That saints will be the first one I'm talking about. Those being the 40 martyrs of Sebaste, otherwise known as the Holy 40. These 40 men were all members of the Roman army, and specifically the Legio Duocim Fulminata, or the 12th Legion Armed Lightning.
You sound like you're fully Italian.
It was Latin, but
Okay.
they're close enough. Either way, so all 40 men declared themselves as Christians and were sentenced to death by their prefect. And so on a fiercely cold night in the dead of winter, they were stripped of their armor and clothing and forced out onto a frozen pond to die to the elements. As they stood upon the frozen ice, the soldiers on shore jeered and teased them. They built up bonfires and filled baths with warm water to tempt them to renounce their faith and to join once again their pagan ranks. However, all 40 resisted the temptation as best they could for hours and hours, until eventually one of them ran to shore and jumped into one of the hot baths and died instantly from the shock of going from so cold to so hot. And the 39 others remained on the ice, freezing. As hours passed, one of the soldiers on shore looked out at the fate of these 39 men, and according to legend, he saw their faith as a brilliant luminescent light surrounding these 39 men. And therefore he took off his own clothes and armor, declared himself as a Christian to the other soldiers on shore, and joined the 39 on the ice, bringing the number back to him. Upon the morning, any of the stiffened bodies that were still alive on the ice were taken ashore, burned to ash, and tossed in a river. And that's the 40 martyrs of Sebaste. Their feast day is on the 9th of March, and they are the patrons of all persecuted Christians.
So he actually swam in the water over to the ice after he declared himself Christian.
No, there was no
There was no water.
It was just pure ice.
Pure ice. So the guy who went back to shore and jumped in the warm bath,
yeah,
he didn't have to swim or anything. He just ran over.
He just ran.
It's amazing that he would go through that much, and then you take up all your clothes, you're asked a million times to deny your faith, and then you're like, actually, no. And then you die of shock because...
I can imagine, of course, martyrdom's definitely no easy thing. But I can only imagine, the mental torment that is going along with, because we live in Alaska.
Right.
We know it can get cold.
Yeah.
And you can imagine,
recently, a lot.
If you could put yourself in that situation, going out to one of the lakes or ponds out here, buck naked and just standing on the ice, you'd want to leave too.
Yeah.
But then if he didn't repent right before he died, then think of that, and he was so close.
There's always that great temptation, especially in the midst of persecution. But love these guys a lot, and I think they're great saints to turn to in the midst of winter, especially
when
if you don't like the cold.
If you don't like the cold, and you're cleaning up your car from all the snow,
your
mess, or scraping your windshield because it's frozen,
and then there's a wind and it just blows right on you.
Yeah. So do you pray to them when you're cleaning off your car, Brogan?
I think of them a lot with snowing. It's
we had a really bad cold spell here recently, and at our Christmas party, I think you were thinking we're all nuts. That all of us that live in Alaska.
I've been thinking that a lot. It's because these guys are part of the Roman army. They've traveled all over the Mediterranean, and so and they've definitely been to some more climates.
Right.
So I imagine they're in this place, and I'm like, gosh, I wish I was back in Egypt or something like that. Warm there.
I wish people could see you right now with your Santa hat on in the office. There's no windows in here. Plenty of heat. It's nice and warm, but you're still wearing it. So
I'm dedicated to the Advent season.
Yes, you are. And I know how you feel being cold. So
They didn't.
God bless them. All right. So what do you have for us next?
All right. Our next saint is Saint Odile, although I originally thought it was Odile.
Ole here.
She was the daughter of a very wealthy duke and noble family, and she was born blind. And due to her being both female and born blind, her father didn't want her. However, her mother convinced him to get rid of her. So instead, she was sent to what is modern-day Burgundy and to be raised by peasants. Legend goes that when she was 12 years old, she was taken to a monastery to be baptized. However, the bishop of that region was visited by an angel and told to go to that monastery to baptize her himself. He did as the angel instructed, went to that monastery and baptized her, and immediately she regained her sight. Her younger brother then led her back to her father's house, where her father was so enraged upon her return that he killed his son for bringing her back, apparently accidentally. I don't really know how to accidentally kill your son.
That you're mad at.
Not really. But thankfully, Odile stooped down and revived her dead younger brother, and then fled home with her father in hot pursuit.
To the monastery.
No,
Or to
she
the
fled
peasants.
across the country and fled across the Rhine River
Oh, okay.
to a cliffside, which miraculously split open to reveal a cave in which she hid. When her father tried to pursue her into the cave, rocks fell from the cliffside and smashed into him, injuring him severely. He was taken back home. However, Odile, in her great love and headstrong faith, back to her father's house to heal and minister to him. Eventually, he gave up resisting her and eventually supported her in faith, and eventually founding a monastery, which she eventually became abbess of, and eventually was buried at death. It was said that until she died in the year 720, she was renowned for her great miraculous power to cure eye diseases. Therefore, she is the patron of the blind and the partially sighted. And her feast day is on the 13th of December.
Ooh.
So it just passed.
Mm-hmm.
Her brother, when he was raised from the dead, did their dad try to kill him again? Or
No. So again, it was apparently an accident.
yeah,
Killing.
so he didn't. There was no
So-
he didn't all of a sudden fall or
Yeah.
wake up with a neck chopped off or something.
And even if it was a purposeful killing of his son, for bringing back his hated daughter, I killed my son for disobeying me, and he just popped back up. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm not trying again.
Yeah, but then he chased
He chased her.
them. Okay.
Apparently, she fled.
The son knew the father. Well, I guess he technically didn't kill him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That sounds like a movie. Going out cliffs, and they open up into a cave. And
sounds like the Red Sea. I mean,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it falls back.
Just
Yeah.
one-upping Moses. Just like you did it with
Right.
water, I'm doing it with stones.
that's all right. What's the mom do?
The last that she's mentioned is that she was the one who took Odile to peasants. It's not really mentioned again.
All right.
That-
Yeah.
No, we need more information.
You would
Yeah, we
Very
need more
interesting.
information,
And, like-
man. Yeah. We want the whole story.
Well, to be fair, this whole story is happening between 660 and 720, so the best
Yeah,
records weren't
that's-
kept.
I gotcha. Okay, so that's a lot of time. She probably didn't live that long.
About 60 years old.
Mm-hmm. If she did. Right.
But excellent.
And
person.
what country was that again?
So she was raised in Burgundy.
Burgundy. But she was sent to Burgundy.
And let's see.
Sorry, I've got to be close to France or Brussels. Somewhere in Europe. Okay. December 13th. So anybody who has
Yeah, so
cataracts or
Alsace would have been in the Frankish at
Gotcha.
that time.
All right.
Next, we're gonna dive into basically the realm of fairy tales here, but ones that are in real life.
Let's start it with-
splitting, caves and rocks and cliffs. And
I know,
stuff
right?
like
all
that.
the
It's not a
stories of the
fairy tale.
saints, all these miraculous
You know,
stories are basically
Yeah.
You
sound like
started
fairy
with
tales. Yeah. But we're going to dive into one that sounds like straight out of something from the Brothers Grimm.
Oh, that's not a once upon a time. That's a hold on to your C's.
Yeah. And this is a hold on to your story. So this is the story of St. Julian the Hospitaller, who it was said that on the night of his birth, his father bore witness to, which is laying a curse on the boy that would fate him to kill both of his parents. His father, once he saw this, wanted to get rid of the child. However, again, his mother convinced him not to, and proceeded to raise the boy until he grew into a handsome young man. However, it said that his mother would often burst into tears from remembering the sin that he was fated to commit. He had no idea about this until one day he went off into the woods to hunt, where he encountered a stag with a crucifix in between its antlers. And he was told by, I suppose, an angel that he was fated to kill both of his parents. Full of sorrow, he returned to his parents and said that he would never commit such a sin and that he would go off to live his own life, great faith in Christ, and full of courage. And so he did just that. He left home and ventured out into the world to make his own life. He eventually found a wealthy widow who was said to be a very good woman. They were married and lived peacefully for 20 years. Until eventually his parents said, hey, it's been a while since we've seen our son fated to kill us. Let's go find him. And so they ventured off and came to visit the altar of St. James. After leaving the church, they met a woman sitting on a chair outside who just happened to be the wife of their son. And after talking, she figured out who they were and invited them back to her house. At the time, her husband, St. Julian, was out hunting. And so she brought them inside, fed them, and sent them off to bed because they were so weary after travels. While St. Julian was hunting, he was visited by the devil, who told him that his wife was unfaithful and that she was at that moment in bed with another man. Outraged, he returned home in the dead of night to find two figures in his bed, thinking that it was his wife and her lover. He killed both of them. However, upon the morning, he found out who they were. He was broken by what he had done and vowed to live the rest of his life in service and humility. And therefore, he and his wife sold all they had, sold their house, and ventured off along one of the most traveled roads and set up a hospice at the edge of a river, where Julian dedicated himself every single day to hunting and helping people cross the river and being the host to whomever was traveling. Hence him being the patron saint of travelers, among a great many other things. It's said that as he continued this, he was put to the test once again by the devil. It's said that since he attended to the sick travelers who went along the way, the devil, who conspired against him, dressed himself as a weak pilgrim and was led in by Julian, those that ran the hospice. And at midnight, he awoke to the entire hospice being made a mess, things being stolen, things broken, the entire place ransacked. And once Julian saw this damage, he vowed to never again take in anybody. Until another weary traveler came along and came to Julian, begged shelter from him. But it said that St. Julian said, I shall not let you in. Go away, for the other night I had my home vandalized, and I shall never let another person in. And the old man who was there said, hold my walking stick, please. Julian, embarrassed, went to take the walking stick, and it stuck to his hand, like he couldn't let go of it. Julian recognized the old man once as being disguised Christ, and instantly repented for having failed to be of service, and once again opened his hospice to all weary travelers. And eventually, right after he recognized who Christ was, he knelt down before him and begged forgiveness for what he had done to his parents, to which he was forgiven.
Okay, good. I was going to ask, when was he forgiven for that? Not just, relocation and try and make amends, But so how many chances did this guy get? Like,
Yeah, but to be fair, he is an excellent sign of, despite committing horrible sin, he is nonetheless absolute great saint. Like his list of privilege is like 50 things long. He's patron of boatmen, carnival workers, childless people, circus workers, clowns, ferrymen, fiddlers, fiddle players, hospitalers, hospitality ministers, hotel keepers, hunters, innkeepers, jugglers, knights, murderers, pilgrims, shepherds, a patron to obtain lodging, travelers, and wandering musicians.
Okay, so I thought that throughout that entire list, I heard jugglers and Mari heard murderers.
Yes.
What did you hear, Sophia?
All the things.
All the things.
I also heard childless.
Oh, yes.
Childless people.
Wow. That's a long list.
That's what you're like, despite committing like the great sin, both against his parents and against Christ himself.
Yeah.
He was nonetheless a patron of so many different things. Basically, anything that has traveling with a living.
A lot of hospitality, too.
Yes. A lot of hospitality.
It's a reminder that we just repent. That's all we have to do.
Yeah. Anything. I mean, God will forgive you of anything. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a cool one.
And then you can go on to be the patron of 50 different things.
Yeah.
If there's any more 50 to be a patron.
And so you can always, I know he's a part of my big three when traveling. So St. Raphael, St. Christopher, and St. Julian are always my go-to when I travel.
Good. Awesome. It's always good to hear about different saints. I love that. Not just like the big three, like you said, but your big three.
Like St. Christopher, everybody knows St. Christopher.
Right.
Patient travelers, Christ bearer. St. Raphael, he's an archangel and in the Bible, so pretty popular. But St. Julian, also they've been painters.
Great.
The next one is also an excellent story. Killable Saint Erasmus, or Saint Elmo. And trust me, he's way better than the evil little red doll.
I mean, the one on Sesame Street.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not even going to try to
Nope.
My voice is
tell them a whole story in that one voice.
Oh, yeah. Please don't.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention. St. Julian's feast day is on the 12th. So he's...
All right. Coming up.
Okay. So, St. Elmo, the unkillable saint, was the bishop of Formia, Italy. Persecution against the Christians under the Emperor Diocletian and Maximilian Hercules. Under the reign of Diocletian, left his diocese of Formia and went to Damascus, where he hid for 7 years. However, at the end of those 7 years, an angel appeared to him and counseled him to return to his diocese to minister to it once more. On the way, he encountered some Roman soldiers who questioned him. He admitted that he was a Christian, and they brought him to trial in Antioch before the emperor himself. And after suffering terrible tortures at his hands, he was bound in chains and thrown into prison. But it's said that an angel appeared to him once again and set him free. He passed through Lycia, where he raised up an illustrious citizen. And this resulted in the baptism of many pagans, which drew, of course, the attention of Rome and the new emperor, Maximilian Hercules, who was, according to his records, much worse than Diocletian. He had him arrested, and that's his fate. They forced him to go before one of the temples of their gods. But along the entire route, all of the stone idols fell and were destroyed. And once they arrived before the temple, fire came out and consumed the pagans that brought him there. So the entire way he brought before this temple, just all the stone idols fall before him and fall before his faith in the presence of Christ within him. And then fire bursts forth from their pagan temple and consumes those that attempted to break his faith.
Another movie. This is another movie.
I know, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Hollywood, get on the
I
saints,
know.
man.
They should.
But it's not over yet. Of course, all the idols being destroyed and several pagans being consumed by fire enraged the emperor. Enraged, and so much so that he had Erasmus enclosed in a barrel filled with inward-facing spikes and rolled down a hill.
How?
Yeah. Yet again, an angel had a hand within his tortures and was said to have healed him of all these wounds, so that when they opened the barrel at the bottom of the hill, he popped out fine and escaped yet again. But he was recaptured and was brought before the emperor and beaten and whipped, then coated with pitch or tar and set on fire.
Ow.
Just like in
Just like in Nero's court. However, he survived.
Yet
And
again.
was- Yet again.
How many does that make so far?
Gosh,
I think that's
think
six.
that's
That's
5 or
six?
6.
Okay.
Okay, 6. He was thrown into prison again, with no intention of letting him go. They intended to starve him to death since nothing else seemed to work. But he managed to escape again. This man is the Houdini of saints. But final time, he was recaptured in the Roman province of Innis for boldly preaching and converting numerous pagans to Christianity. Finally, his death came about after being recaptured and being tied down and his stomach being split open, then his intestines being tied around a windlass, signifying his patronage over sailors and stomach aches, particularly abdominal pain.
Wait, this thing.
Yeah, quite the same.
I noticed a parallel thing. He was in hiding for 7 years, you said, and then he was captured and tortured 7 times.
Yeah, you're right.
So maybe he wouldn't have been. Maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
I know. I would say he was probably called out of his hiding to suffer. It's like that's the calling of a saint is to live a life of sanctified suffering. And he is the patron, as I said, of sailors, colic, and children.
Uh-huh.
He is the patron of Formia in that diocese, the patron of intestinal ailments and diseases,
Anybody who needs
and labor pain.
Oh, labor pain. Oh, well, I can never. I mean, I visualize the whole intestine pain.
I
One
don't
lesson,
think
like, seriously, nobody's going to want to sail that boat after. That's
I mean, see, technically, like a
Second class
class
boat?
like,
Yeah. true.
I sailed on a second class village.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And his feast day
Of
is
course,
the
Mari
second-
would think of Mari is Pollyanna. She just is. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. That's your homework, right? It's an old
The
Disney
Shirley
classic.
Temple. Maybe not. Maybe
No,
not.
that wasn't Pollyanna. She wasn't Pollyanna. She was Shirley Temple. But yeah, Pollyanna. She played the glad game. No matter what happened, she could always find something to be glad about. You know.
I think you say that because of the world these days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I say that definitely because the world. Maury was Pollyanna there too. Okay, so besides intestines hanging from a windlass, everything. And all right, so what is he the patron saint of people intestinal disease? And you got to have labor pain. Sailors.
and colic and children.
Oh, okay, great. And what's his feast day?
June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Excellent saint to turn to.
Yeah.
Let's imagine being called to do that, and you don't know what's gonna happen next, and you just have all these tortures to go through, and you haven't died yet, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, when
But,
yeah,
the death coming?
The most is that if you feel sick to your stomach while you're reading his story, you can pray to him.
Pray to him. Yeah, God.
Because
So what's gonna happen?
You should have told us this before you told us the story.
Well, I have one more for you guys.
Okay.
And that being the good Saint Winifred, was born sometime in the 7th century. It is just so it's now against unwanted advances.
Ooh.
People you don't want to. So, as her story goes, she was the daughter of a Welsh nobleman, and the daughter of the niece of Saint Bano. That's E-U-N.
Mm-hmm.
Sure how to pronounce it. But according to legend, she wanted to become a nun. However, being the daughter of a noble family, she was destined to be married and had a suitor pining for her. And once her suitor found out about this, needless to say, he wasn't very happy about it, and gave her an ultimatum, basically. He drew his sword, put it to her throat, and said, either you marry me or you die. And in her great faith and following her vocation in life, she declared that she would become a nun. And he swung the sword and killed her on the spot and decapitated her. But
Oh my goodness. I was like, this guy is
what? This story's not over. The
So
story's
you
not
say
over.
the story?
Whoa.
How many times?
It's not over?
It's not over.
Okay, go on.
So, where her head landed, it said that a healing spring sprang forth right out on that spot. And
Another movie.
I know, right?
Goodness.
And with her at that time was her great uncle, Saint Bueno.
The Buenos.
Yeah, Saint Bueno had her head miraculously restored to her body,
Oh my goodness.
and she lived.
Wow.
I wonder if she felt all that pain.
Because when you beheaded, like you're still
You
somewhat
feel it.
alive
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
weird sense, and then all of a sudden your head is just put
Put
back.
back
This
on.
is
Like,
Saint
whoa.
Denis of Paris.
Got
Oh
arms
my
again.
By the way, so her head was restored to her body. She was back to life.
Uh-huh.
And seeing
And her
that-
suitor fainted. No.
He walked away at that point, and it's said to have been smugly leaning against a stone. And Saint Winifred's great uncle, Saint Winifred, saw him leaning there with a smug smile on his face, and with his sword. And Saint Winifred called unto heaven, and the earth opened beneath him and swallowed him whole.
Must have been so.
Yes, that was my evil.
And Saint Winifred, her great faith, walked away from being beheaded and went on to follow God's will, becoming a nun and eventually an abbess.
Wow.
And the
Okay.
spring that is at the place where she almost died is still there to this day, and it's called Saint Winifred. Well,
Wow. I was going to ask about this spray. Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still
Imagine
there.
her telling like her vocation story to like young, just
They're like,
like,
Yeah, somebody
I was like, I wanted to become a nun, and this man was pursuing me, and I didn't want to marry him, and he threatened to cut off my head. But then all of a sudden, my great uncle, who's a saint, just put my head back on, and
I don't know.
You're right.
My great uncle.
Yeah.
Just like
Oh my goodness.
casually restored my head.
You know my ex-Old's husband? Yeah, he got swallowed up.
So don't crowsby. You never know. Oh my goodness. You're right. That vocation story would be, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm not worthy to be
So yeah, we have a theme
sister,
today,
no.
and the earth opening and resurrections.
Yeah, that's a really interesting combination you have there, too. I can visualize every single one of those as a film.
I say, if I ever had the, I guess, calling to become a remaker or something, honestly, I'd probably write the stories, but the saints would be where I turn to. With over 10,000
Right.
canonized Catholic saints, not even getting into the blesseds
Right,
or the
right,
servants
exactly.
of God. The movies you out of these
Absolutely.
amazing men and women of faith, true stories
Right, right.
that would inspire, like that's one of the main purposes of the saints, is to
And
inspire.
you know what?
role
You
models for us.
never know what producers or directors or even writers that are out there that have actually read the lives of the saints and are using those. What has happened? 'Cause my sister is a writer. She writes screenplays and books, and trilogies, and everything. And sometimes I think to myself, where does she get these ideas? Like, this is insane. I shared a room with her when we were little kids. I know what she read, and now I read what she writes, and it's incredible. So it's probably because she read the lives of the saints.
Yeah, I was
you
just
know?
saying, I love to write. That's one of my main hobbies and one of my charisms is writing, mostly in fiction, and that's why I love.
Oh,
This is why I'm giving these podcasts.
Right,
of
yeah.
obscure saints
We love
because I love these.
love the podcast. Yeah, so keep coming. So we're gonna do another one like next month, right? Brogan? So we'll do another obscure saints next month. This is January, and we are still in the Christmas season. This Sunday is going to be the Epiphany, and hopefully we will publish this podcast on Friday, which will be tomorrow. So we are not on a regular schedule, people. So if you are listening to our podcast and expecting us to publish one every single Friday, we are dealing with a bunch of teenagers that have lots of obscure schedules and serious homework. And, so we're trying to get them in here. They're on vacation right now. So we kind of stole Sophia and Mari after mass this morning and said, hey, we need to do it. So thank you, Brogan. That was incredible. I'm going to probably have a couple of nightmares tonight. So I'm praying. Who's patron saint of sleep? I don't know.
Off the top of my head.
Probably the Blessed Mother. But anyway, Sophia, you want to end with the things?
Yes. First, before we end our podcast, let's all go around and say our favorite Christmas present or activity or anything that you really loved about this Christmas. Brogan, do you
So
want to
far.
So
Still
far.
going.
Yeah.
Well, this has been the first white Christmas I've had in a long time. Down in Texas, you don't get much snow, and especially 4 feet of it.
Mhm.
So it was fun to enjoy the snow for what areas I can enjoy it, mostly in sledding, but also learning a lot about it and the different kinds of snow that can harass my day. So yeah, definitely focusing on the Martyrs of Sebaste these next few months.
Yes. Well,
It was a great Christmas.
good. My favorite Christmas present this year was having my kids home, and I haven't seen my daughter in a while, so that was lovely. And I got a tractor,
Fun.
so that'll be a different podcast because there's a million YouTube videos on tractors. So if you don't know what a tractor is,
This was Sophia, my first not white Christmas.
Yes,
Mm.
that was strange. We went
It
to
was
Rome.
interesting, yeah.
My sister was studying abroad, and her family met up with her for her last few days on her visa, and spent days just doing whatever we wanted and visited all the churches and basilicas and everything. And we will do a podcast on our trip to Rome. But yeah, it was our first Christmas without snow, and it was strange.
Yeah, they
It's
do
different.
celebrate Christmas a lot longer than the U.S. does, which we really like. So we've always done.
well, being Italian myself, I know we have, we celebrate St. Nicholas Day on December 6th, and then Christmas Day, and then the Epiphany. So we get 3 Christmases.
Yeah.
I think Italians do it right. And I went to Italy this year too, so I can't wait to do the next podcast with you ladies and talk about our favorite things about Italy. And so that will be our next podcast.
Yeah.
Great. And the things.
Please like, subscribe, and share with others. Comment if you enjoy, and if you have any future ideas or questions or anything you want to let us know about, please let us know in the comments. And
Our Facebook page.
oh yeah, our
Email.
Facebook page, Verso Alto Podcast,
Go to Facebook.
and then
Send us any prayer requests at our email address, which is versoaltopodcast@gmail.com. And our website,
Verso Alto Podcast.com.
there you go. So anytime you need to get a hold of us, you can also go to the St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Parish website or the St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Parish Facebook page. And we appreciate all of you listening, and we love your prayers and your prayer requests. So please keep sending those in. Brogan, thank you again for being here. Love the hat. I'm going to have to take a picture of you and put it on our website so people can see who we're talking about. Since you're an adult, I'm not going to make it into a meme. So anyway, should we close with prayer? Mari, would you close us with prayer?
Sure. Okay. Name us all in it. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity to learn about your holy saint, especially the martyrs with their great courage and their example that we can look up to in faith. Saint Michael, help us to fight every day for Christ, even when we feel that there's no other choice. And help us to live every day. For Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us.
Protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil.
May
God
God be good with us. And do that our place of heaven yours. The power of God passes to have seat. Our spirits who
Hallowed
forever
the world, seeking the root of souls. Amen.
May the souls of
Mercy of God, rest in peace.
And near Giorgio Frassati.
Pray for us. Father,
Father,
Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right. God bless you all. All right. God bless you all. All right. God bless you all. All right. God bless you all.